All right, everybody, Thursday, October 3rd, and we're just 32 days from Election Day, November 5th. Today on Bolling, Joe Biden abandons drowning, struggling, starving, and exposed to the elements Americans. Government spending finally rears its ugly head. We'll explain in just a second. And your daily truth bomb is just ahead, so here we go. You know, it's one of Ronald Reagan's greatest lines, and he had many.
I think you all know that I've always felt the 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
I'm from the government and we're here to help you. One of the greatest presidents this country has ever seen had said something we so strongly agree with. I'm from the government and we're here to help you. Too much government is not a good thing, never is. I'm a libertarian, so that notion runs deep through these veins, folks. All you have to do is look at the post office, or about Social Security. How about Medicare? How about the TSA? Need I go further? Well, if that's not enough, think about those two right there. Nancy Pelosi, AOC. Should I go further? Less government, not more government, please. But what if they don't help you at all at the precise moment you need it the most? They're supposed to, right? After all, well, that's what we pay them to do. Protect us when we're vulnerable, in times of need. What if you've lost everything and the government just turns their pockets inside out and says, sorry, nothing left for you, even as you watch them give $2.5 billion more to a foreign country just a couple of days before. Imagine this. You give, what, 30, 40% of your paycheck, and lately paychecks, plural, because, you know, Joe and Kamala. And so you blindly and begrudgingly pay that into the federal government. And you don't even really complain about it too much because the understanding is that the deal is this. At some point, your government may need to help you when you need it most. I mean, during the COVID pandemic, they sure love to spend money and send money, literally the biggest socialist spending spree the country has ever seen. Well, there's still people getting paid to this day not to work, to this very day. They just loved using their favorite Fauci-generated virus to justify keeping millions of Americans out of work and on the government teat. Because to Joe and Kamala and Barack, that also meant giving trillions, yes, trillions, to millions of potential Democrat voters. You see, they need to make them dependent on government to make sure that they get those votes so they can stay in power forever. I've got to vote for Mommy Kamala and Granddaddy Joe. They'll give me an allowance to stay home and play video games. See why I'm not a big fan of government? The more there is, the more inept, the more corrupt, and the less productive we get as a country. Proven fact, socialism crushes productivity. But this is different. You see, FEMA is there for these precise moments. At least 200 dead, hundreds still trapped and missing. Lifeless bodies, human beings found dangling from trees. Biblical flooding in Asheville, North Carolina. These are Americans. These are hardworking, tax-paying citizens. This is when the government is supposed to step up and help. Surely this is the insurance all those years of taxes have paid for, right, FEMA? Well, actually, no. No, Alejandro Mayorkas says no. Oh, suddenly, a swath of rural red state counties get hit by one of the most catastrophic storms in modern history, and all they've got to say is climate change. Excuse me? This is East Palestine, Ohio, all over again, multiplied by 1 billion. And this time, it's not just one Trump voting town, it's many, many states. And this is all they have to offer you. Ready for this? $750 to each American hurt by the hurricane. $750. Americans lost homes, cars, every single belonging. They lost family members, pets, limbs. Your life, though, $750 to them, because this is important, because they live in a Trump-strong state. Think about it. Florida, Trump. Tennessee, Trump. North Carolina should be Trump. Georgia, Trump leads. $750. Joe doesn't care about you. Kamala Harris doesn't care about you. Barack Obama doesn't care about you. They think each of your lives is worth $750. $750 is actually worth very little these days. It's like one trip to Costco for a median-sized family. But after giving so much to those who invade our borders, and after giving so much to other countries to protect their borders, that's all Joe has left to give you. Kimey, $750. Biden and Harris will give illegals free hotel rooms, a debit card waiting for them with thousands of dollars on it, maybe, I don't know, a cerveza for the weekend. Important to note, though, that debit card has debit in front of it, right? Who pays off that debt, that debit debt? Taxpayers, you, me, and the people in Tennessee, in North Carolina, in Georgia, in Florida, who are struggling, who are dying. They're paying, illegal migrants are living. In just 1 week alone, $8.7 billion in military aid to Israel, $8 billion in military aid to Ukraine, $567 million in military support for Taiwan, but just $750 one-time emergency assistance payments to American citizens, victims of a hurricane. And they even let help get to Americans. Will they? They're stopping help. They're stopping other people from getting into the area to help. Watch.
Our goal is to make sure that funding is no obstacle to very quickly getting people the relief that they need and deserve. There's also some safety issues that come up. For example, temporary flight restrictions to make sure that the airspace is clear for any flights or drone activity that might be involved in helping to allow those emergency responders to do their job.
Did you hear that? No drones. You know who are using drones? American citizens trying to help their other American citizens dying and struggling. They're sending drones in to look for survivors. And Mayor Pete Buttigieg says no drones allowed in the area. Why no drones allowed? Why not? Why not let some other people help? You're not helping them, $750. We're more than a week out now. People are still missing. How about you use American citizens that will get things done, not FEMA? So no more money left for Americans, and they can't even get help in there either. Got anything else in those pockets, Joe? Really? So let me get this straight. $150 billion for illegals so far. That's tens of thousands for each illegal migrant. $140 billion to Ukraine so far. That's $8,000, $8,000 per Ukrainian household. And 750 measly Biden bucks for struggling Americans. It's insane. In Democrat America, it's America last, as always. Well, let me ask you this, Joe. All those future Democrat voters, those illegals who invaded our border, who get hotel rooms and ATM cards with thousands on them, yes, thousands of dollars on them, what about them? What about our Americans? This country has spent $150 billion this year on the migrant crisis that Joe and Kamala created. You see, when they spend trillions and trillions of dollars in spending bills after spending bills, when Mike Johnson buddies up with Chuck Schumer and the communist Democrats to keep the government up and running at a time like this, you wonder why even bother. You know, our elected morons aren't even working right now. They're off. They're on recess. They're on recess until after the election, while we work to earn the taxes to fund their paychecks and to help our fellow Americans through a crisis just like this one. Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, well, they're hobnobbing with George Soros and his mini-me son, thinking up their next globalist scheme to screw over every single American. But this is what government is, folks. When you're drowning underwater, they're off swimming in it, on vacation, spending our money so they can rest up to find enough energy to come back and spend more of our money. And why, Alejandro? Why doesn't FEMA have any money left? FEMA itself spent $940 million, almost $1 billion on illegals. And now there's no money left for the hurricane victims. Why is that? Maybe check where that $42 billion spent on high-speed internet that never happened. I don't know. Maybe the $7.5 billion spent to build EV charging stations that never happened. Correction, sorry. 7 were built. Billions of dollars to build 7 charging stations. 1.2 trillion so-called infrastructure dollar bills. 1.2 trillion. Feel like your roads and bridges are better now, folks? Does it? 1.2 trillion. Tens of billions of dollars costing the country, $150 billion just 1 year for illegals. That number is coming to us from Congress itself. Just recently, Congress had a meeting. They had a big meeting on Capitol Hill. And they came up with $150.7 billion spent so far on illegals. So far. That's not our number. We're not making this up. That's directly from the U.S. Congress. Hundreds of billion dollars by insider trading by people like Nancy Pelosi's husband. Billions of dollars to the military-industrial complex every year. Crazy. And what do Americans get when we need it the most? Gots. Zilch. Nada. $750 to Hurricane Helene victims. $750 to East Palestine victims. Here's what else you get, though. You get high inflation, high gas prices, high mortgage prices, high energy and utility costs, unaffordable groceries, homeless veterans, an unsecured border bringing in fentanyl, gang members. Oh, by the way, act now, 13,000 murderers, 16,000 rapists, yet there's more. Hundreds of thousands who are convicted of other crimes in their home country coming here. An unknown number of terrorists. A partridge in a pear tree, folks. Have I missed anything? I think Reagan is stirring in his grave right now because suddenly, even more frightening words are, I'm from the government and we're all out of money. We can't help you. Air traffic controllers, 1981, a labor union went on strike. President Ronald Reagan had warned them, leading up to that strike, that they would be fired if they went through with it. Well, the air traffic controllers called Reagan's bluff and walked out. I say bluff because at the time, most Americans didn't even believe Reagan would pull the trigger on that threat. After all, that move could freeze air transportation across the country and even the globe. On August 5th, 1981, following the air traffic controllers' refusal to return to work, Reagan fired 11,345 striking controllers. Fired them all. Tossed them. Because they ignored his order to get back to work. And banned them, furthermore, banned them from federal service for life. Fast forward to today. Day 3 of the longshoremen strike that's poised to cripple commerce to all American cities, not just the East Coast. These ports collectively handle more than 68% of all containerized exports, 56% of imports for the entire nation. JP Morgan, the biggest bank on Wall Street, they project that the strike could cost the U.S. economy $5 billion per day. We're day 3, $15 billion and counting. The ILA is gunning for a $5 per hour increase per year over the life of a 6-year contract. And get this longshoremen's union, that equates to 77% increase. 77% increase. And by the way, they look to ban automation, which is going to happen anyway, like it or not. But wait a minute. This guy, Harold Daggett, hear about this guy? He's the union boss of the ILA who's voting, and he's vowed now to cripple the U.S. economy if the ports don't ban automation and raise his workers' wages 77%. However, old Harold, let's call him Dirty Harry, he had a Bentley convertible parked outside his sprawling mansion in New Jersey this week. Exclusive photos obtained by the New York Post reveal that. And look at that house. Look at this. Union bosses threatened to cripple the economy. That guy lives in a 7,000 square foot mansion. The union boss who threatened to cripple the economy lives in that 7,000 square foot mansion. And those photos were taken by the New York Post, were given to us by the New York Post. Can you put those photos back up for a second? I want to show something. This is amazing. This is the guy who says, your prices are going to go up. Your fuel costs are going to go up. Your supply chain is about to break unless you give us what we want. And what do we want? We want a 77% increase over the next 6 years. That is just pure insanity. So instead of having a Reagan, you got a Biden. Remember Union Joe? Union Joe was going to be the union guy, make sure this stuff didn't happen. Well, he could force them back to work. He could tell them, get back to work or you're going to be fired, but he's not going to do it, is he? He's not going to do it, is he? Here's a little truth bomb right here. He could have done it. He could have done it. Joe could have get those people back to work. But they didn't want it. They didn't want a 50% bump that they were offered. I'll tell you what, when Trump gets into office, you better take your 50%. Because when Trump gets into office, he's going to pull you. He's going to fire all 45,000 of you and replace them. There are a lot of people that make $80,000 to $200,000 a year. That's what these union members were making. $80,000 to $200,000 a year. There are a lot of people that could step into that. Certainly faster than in 1981 when an air traffic controller who was a highly skilled professional, Reagan fired all 11,500 of them. Just fired them up. They brought the military in. They did what they had to do. It was a much bigger task, the 11,000 in 81, than this will be replacing 45,000 longshoremen. It's a very replaceable job. There are a lot of people making a lot less money that would love to have those jobs with the cushy benefits, the cushy union benefits. I'll tell you what else it does. When you fire them, when you fire the unions, it undermines the union labor, which is really what we want in America. Unions are no good for American businesses. They drive up the costs. They're not free market. Trump will get in there in a month and wipe them all out. Truth bomb, folks. Boom. All right, folks, we had some great feedback from you yesterday. We love this. You got to call. Just call. Let me know what you like, what you don't like, what you want to hear, what you want to talk about. We'll talk about Biden. We'll talk about Harris. We'll talk about Obama. Let's talk Trump if you want. I want to know what kind of content you like. Because this show is it's with me, but it's for you guys. 888-601-0032. You know, again, leave your name, leave your message, maybe even what city you're calling from, because we want to hear about it. And in fact, let's hear one of them right now.
This is Gerald from Wisconsin, Dallas, Wisconsin. You know, down there, Harrison's talking. Well, she ain't talking. She's reading off a piece of paper what she should do. Now, is that what you want for a president? And don't even know what the hell to do? She says FEMA down there, well, they're going to have to get more money from the FEMA. But where's that money going? We found out. It's going to the illegals, people. Harrison don't give a damn or anything about the people in the United States.
You know, what the truth bomb, or actually the A block was all about today. All right, how about one more from someone who's watching the show and has some ideas? Let's see, hear what she has to say.
Hey, Eric, this is Terry from Maryland. I am glad to see you're back. I have missed your shows. My question is, are you going to do live, or are you just going to do the videos and put them on YouTube, Rumble, etc.? I'd love to see you live. Have a good one.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, these are videos right now. It's a podcast show, and we'll figure out if we're going to do live later, but we want to hear it. We'd love to hear what you thought, what you think of the show, what you want to hear going forward. Don't forget, subscribe, tell your friends, subscribe. It's free. Free. Subscribe. Have a great night, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow. I'm Bolling. Out.